McCarthy. Fake the handoff. And Alec Manis is going to throw a pick.
They give it to Cora. Up back. Cora. Touchdown, Wolverine.
Roman Wilson does it again. Oh, finds some daylight. He's got some speed and some blockers.
Outside. Turns the corner. Blake Cora down the sideline.
Looking over the middle. Caught. Touchdown, Wolverine. McCarthy extends the play. Now using legs. McCarthy at first down.
And here we go. All right, everybody. You probably just heard me say, and here we go. That is because we've got some really interesting stuff going on tonight. I just forgot I should be looking at the camera up here. It is going to be an interesting night, folks. You may not be able to tell. Mac and I are in the same room.
We are.
Which
it's
is
cool.
It's kind of wild. We got a little bit of a Frankenstein setup going here, so I'm hoping you all can hear us. I'm going to take this up because I'm getting feedback in my headphones. Anyway, here we are, Big Ten Team Rivalry Show. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We've got one story tonight. It's not a big story. It's just a normal, everyday story where the Michigan Wolverines lose everything because of what one guy did. So, not that big of a deal, really. Next week, however, we have a guest, and I will tell you who that is later. Hang on for that. We will also be taking your chats tonight because I'm sure there's a lot that people want to talk about. We're not insiders. We're just going off of the same information you guys got. We're just going to haggle with it and toss it back and forth and see what we've got right here on the Big Ten Team Rivalry Show, where you get expert trash talk and unrivaled analysis. We look at the Big Ten from a Michigan perspective. I am your host, Cliff. This is Mac. Mac, how are you doing over there?
I'm good. Ow, that hurt. All right. I'm realizing the angle's really bad with my hat. So hopefully you guys can all see me. Here I am. Hi, everybody. I'll have to get used to this. Luckily, it's just for tonight. Then I'm kicking them out tomorrow. I'm good. How are you, Dad?
I'm doing okay. I'm just watching the chat here. Jason says our audio is fine. Thank you, Jason.
Appreciate it.
I'm actually on vacation. That's why we're doing this. Wife and I are on vacation, and we decided, hey, why don't we do a live stream together in the same room? And so here we are for not the first time ever, but at least recently. Before we get into the big story, this is what we're going to do. Now I've got to shift things around. We're trying to learn new things on Restream here. But first, we're going to get into the checkdown. And to do that, I got to bring up the checkdown, and I got to get rid of Mac. Sorry, Mac.
That's fine.
Let's see. You get to stay on here. All right, Mac is going to stay with us. In case you all heard that, one cam and manually cut back and forth. We're trying. It seems like every time we do this, we try something new, and inevitably something goes wrong. But we learn from week to week, and eventually we'll get this set up right. And I hope we do, because we've got not only have we got a guest next week, which I will talk about in a little while, we're also going to be starting the Pigskin Showdown, which I will talk about in a little while. But first. Oh, are you doing the chat thing? Oh, nice.
Yeah, I got the chat.
Oh, nice. Excellent. Yeah. I just lost the script. This is fun, everybody.
This is why we don't do the show together.
Where did it go? Here we go. All right, I got it. Okay. So, before we get into the big story, this is the checkdown. The checkdown is where we talk about all the latest news across the college football world from my perspective. The first story is from Oregon. Now, the Oregon Ducks have a new nickname. Did you hear about this?
I didn't hear about this.
Okay, so the Oregon Ducks have a new nickname. They will now that they have joined the Big Ten, they're trying really hard to fit in, and they've heard that all of the nicknames flying around the Big Ten that we have for each other, and they decided to make one of their own. Now, if there's a hard and fast rule when it comes to nicknames, it's you don't get to make your own nickname.
No, you don't get to make
somebody
your own
else makes up your nickname. So,
That's
for example,
true.
Did the Michigan Wolverines come up with the name The Team Up North?
No.
No, they didn't.
No.
The Buckeyes came up with that name, and frankly, I'm okay with it. It's pretty nice.
We're up north.
We are up north
from
them. And,
it just makes sense.
And apparently they're directionally challenged. So
they are.
I think it's cool that the Michigan Wolverines can be the anchor for the Buckeyes to let them know where they are at all times.
Yes.
But the Oregon Ducks decided to call themselves the team out west. I'm not making this up. If you check out the Go Ducks YouTube channel, you will see that they now have a documentary up called The Team Out West. And unfortunately, literally every team that just joined the Big Ten is out west. So you can understand why there's a problem with this nickname. So I am proposing a new nickname, not only for the Oregon Ducks, but for Washington, UCLA, and USC.
Okay.
Here's my idea. First of all, the Oregon Ducks, since they're the ones who decided to start this whole debacle, I figure we call them the Quackers out west.
Yes.
El Ducko says Quacko. While we're at it, Washington will now be known as the Fluffy Dogs because they're Huskies.
They're fluffy.
They're fluffy.
Yeah, that's
right,
true.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
USC remains the University of Spoiled Children. I can't take credit for that one. That's the one I heard. UCLA will simply be known as Last Place. The next story is about Mel Tucker. Mel Tucker is back in the news, and he is big mad.
Oh.
You remember Mel Tucker. He's the guy who was going to save Michigan State's football program after D'Antonio dashed with the bag of cash.
Dashtonio.
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 There we go.
All right.
There we go. See, nicknames just flying.
Right there.
Tucker was accused of sexual harassment by Brenda Tracy, who was ironically at the university to talk about sexual harassment.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh.
He was fired after game 2 last season. We all remember that. And then we know that the rest of the team quit.
They boycotted.
They boycotted. Right,
they
right.
boycotted.
And you would think that the very nature of Tracy's visit there would be reason enough that for Mel Tucker to consider her off limits, but not so. Spartans will, after all. Mel Tucker is suing the Spartans for $80 million for wrongful termination and racial discrimination. Why? Because apparently he really enjoyed the embarrassment of having his private activities discussed on national television.
You know, $80 million wasn't even as much as his contract there.
I'm not sure that it was, to be honest.
It wasn't. It really, literally wasn't.
Yeah.
I can't. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Our last story here. We've all heard about the NCAA hammer coming down on Michigan, right? And we're going to talk about that in a little bit here. That's made it in the news for the most part. Has that been in the? Yeah, that's been in the news.
It's been in the news.
Turns out the hammer already came down, but it missed and hit the University of Kentucky. Did you hear about this one?
I didn't.
You didn't hear about this one?
Wait. Yes, I did, because you were telling me about it earlier.
Okay, fine. Yeah, show prep being what it is.
Yeah, well.
Okay, so this is from CBS Sports. The NCAA announced Friday that it has reached an agreement with Kentucky on appropriate penalties stemming from Level 2 violations that occurred within the football program. At issue is the fact that at least 11 football players received impermissible benefits.
Oh.
For work not performed between spring 2021 and March 2022, 8 of those players went on to compete while ineligible because they received impermissible benefits. That's what made them ineligible.
Oh, I see.
So effectively, it didn't impact the game. But I have 2 questions. Have they not heard about NIL? And 2, have they not heard about NIL? To be honest, I'm not worried the NCAA really is going to crush Michigan because, to quote Spaceballs the movie, the NCAA is dumb. I honestly don't get this one. I don't understand. And we're going to be talking about this with Michigan too. How is it nobody knew about this until all of a sudden the charges came down or the penalties came down?
The allegations.
They've been punished. This is it.
Kentucky.
They've had wins vacated.
Yeah.
They've got probation, wins vacated, and other stuff. But postseason ban, I believe. But
yeah.
Have no idea why it is that we hear all about Michigan from the get-go, but we haven't heard anything about Kentucky until it's all over. This has been the Checkdown. If you like what you've seen so far, don't forget to smash that like button, and as long as you're there, slide a little bit to the left and hit that subscribe button. Thank you to everyone who has subscribed already. By the way, thank you to all of our new subscribers over the past couple of weeks. Really appreciate you being here, and I hope we can earn that subscription. And now, are you ready over there? As you drink your tea?
For what?
Oh, you don't remember?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I'm not supposed to laugh at my own jokes.
No, I'm joking. I knew what I was getting into.
Before we get into the big story, and actually I believe this leads into the big story.
This leads into the big story.
We are going to get into Mac's monologue, and I believe now I can step out while you do the monologue, and that way I don't have to make faces.
Yeah, get out.
Okay, here we go. Max monologue.
All right, Max monologue. Here it is. Guys, I did not write anything for Max monologue, and I'm going to tell you why. I didn't know what to write. Okay, there's so much going on right now with the sign stealing allegations. So the everyone saw in the news, the notice of allegations was leaked to ESPN via our everyone's favorite reporter, or should I say no one's favorite reporter, Pete Thamel. And I really don't know what to make of it. I've listened to a lot of different commentaries on it, and I figured tonight was the night where I can just kind of unleash my feelings, talk from the heart, if you will, and tell everybody exactly what I'm thinking. And this is what I'm thinking. This looks really weird. This looks really weird. I genuinely don't know what to make of it anymore. I am the type of person who likes to, the saying, it's actually even a saying, you credit with stupidity what could be credited with malice, or at least you assume it's stupidity and not malice. I like to think that people are not actually bad or seeking ill intent, if you will. The problem is the way the NCAA has behaved throughout all of this makes me feel a lot like I did when I worked at Subway, which is, I don't know what's going on. I just know that everybody's screaming incoherently. The NCAA, I've said it on the show before, the NCAA feels a lot like they are suffering from what I called dying star syndrome, where they are trying to come out with some sort of last-ditch effort to take back control over college football because they know that it is slowly slipping away from them. They know that the Big Ten and the SEC have all the power right now. Why do they have all the power right now? Well, because the NCAA only exists because the member institutions are members of the NCAA. The NCAA knows that the Big Ten and the SEC are the cash cows of CFB. And if the Big Ten and the SEC decide that they want to split and make up their own super league, they can absolutely do it. All the players, all the coaches, all the teams, all the resources, all the money is coming with them. And then the NCAA becomes the kings of the group of five and then slowly fades into obscurity. They will become nothing. They will lose all the power. The billions of dollars that they make every year will go away. Which is why they're trying one last-ditch effort to take Michigan down for anything, something, whatever they can get their hands on. Which is why when you read the leaked draft of the notice of allegations, all it says is a bunch of things like non-compliance. What does non-compliance mean? I don't really know. Because when you read the notice of allegations, you see something like the Sharon Moore texts. Sharon Moore deleted a whole bunch of texts. I've heard from a source at Michigan through Sam Webb who said that Sharon Moore absolutely did delete texts that he had with Connor Stallions. Why did he delete those texts? I don't know. But the NCAA didn't say that the NCAA wanted those texts. The NCAA ended up getting those texts anyway. Sharon Moore is still being given a level 2 violation. There's an allegation of a level 2 violation going to Sharon Moore. Why is that? Because of non-compliance. Not because there was anything in the text messages. If there were anything in those text messages, he'd be getting a level 1 violation. But he's getting a level 2 violation. So there's nothing actually in the text messages. Does it look bad that he deleted texts? Yeah, kind of. And I was thinking this at the time, but Josh Pate said it, Sam Webb said it. How many times have you known somebody in your life who has been extremely toxic, who's done something that you don't think that they should be doing, and they text you about it, and you say, I don't want anything to do with this, so you delete it. You get it out of your life. Maybe that's what was going on. I don't know. Josh Pate also says that you'd be an idiot to believe that no one at Michigan and in the administration knew what Connor Stallions was doing, and I have to agree with him. And because I agree with him, I do think Michigan should probably get some sort of probation, some sort of fine, something. Because at the end of the day, how do you let something like this happen? where Connor Stallions can go and advanced scout teams. Now, a billion different things can be true at once. What Stallions did was against the rules. It also didn't provide a market advantage in the competition, but it was still against the rules. So suspend him, fire him, they did, whatever. Michigan should get in trouble. Why? Because they knew it was happening, and whether or not they were trying to stop it remains to be seen at this point. It looks like they were, but it also doesn't really look like they were, because the NCAA still can't actually find anything on them, at least from a lack of institutional control standpoint. Now, from a non-compliance standpoint, sure, fine Michigan. But in terms of actual cheating, in terms of whether or not Michigan used any of this information to gain an unfair advantage over their opponents, there is nothing. So Pete Thamel said it, Paul Feinbaum said it, the other guy who released that article said it. Pretty much nothing is going to come of this. There's almost certainly not going to be a postseason ban. There's almost certainly not going to be a vacate wins. They're not going to vacate wins. The Natty will remain intact. Probably what's going to happen is a probationary period and a fine, and it should happen. But Michigan didn't cheat. At the end of the day, Michigan, what happened is dumb, and it's weird, and it's odd, and it's a mixture of all of those things, plus the NCAA looking for anything to remain relevant. That has made all of this extraordinarily stupid. I'll say this, though, and I want to make this perfectly clear. Covering this nonsense has been amazing for our channel. Our channel has exploded. I don't know if you have noticed, but we only have 884 subscribers right now. We covered this in 2 videos last week. The week prior to that, we had 860. So we gained 20 some odd subscribers off of this. When we first started covering this back in October, we went from like 400 to 500 in a week. Then we covered it in January and went from 500 to 700 in like 2 weeks. Our channel has very much benefited from this, but I can't stand covering it. And I don't want to cover it anymore. Not because I'm worried about what's going to happen, but because everything about it looks extremely strange. And that's my final word on it. It doesn't look good for Michigan from a optics standpoint. And obviously they have already been crucified in the court of public opinion. But I think at the end of the day, I have to agree with Josh Pate that at the end of this, the NCAA is going to have more egg on their face than Michigan is. That's what I got.
Where am I?
I don't know. Where are you? There you are.
If you like Mac's monologue, give the live stream a like. We really appreciate it. It really helps us on YouTube. And I've been keeping track of the chat, looking at your questions and your comments. We're going to get to those too. So this is what we've got tonight. So this is the big story, what Mac just went through. The leaking of the NCAA document yesterday to ESPN before Michigan even saw it, which is all part of the conversation as to why did it get to ESPN first. But we're going to go to an article, and I can't stress enough how much we're not worried about what the Michigan haters think. We're concerned about what happens with Michigan. We're concerned about the future of the game, but we're not worried about the haters, because we know that if Michigan were completely exonerated tomorrow, it wouldn't matter. The haters are still going to hate Michigan and say the whole thing is tainted. But let's take a look at the article in the Detroit News. The Detroit News. From Angelique Changelis. At heart of this article, the article talks about, and it's titled, I'm sorry, I'm shifting back and forth between screens here. So the article is titled, "UM football coach Sharon Moore could face punishment in sign stealing investigation." Now, the interesting thing about this is that this is kind of, well, I guess it's not old news. It's still relevant. It still counts. But in the time that this came out yesterday, more information came out today, and then also Pete Thamel, Paul Feinbaum have talked about it. Pat McAfee has talked about it. It's been all over the place as far as what the understanding of it is.
Mm-hmm.
But first, let's go into what Angelique talks about. The overview of the situation is that Sharon Moore, current Michigan football head coach, is potentially facing some punishment from the NCAA. There is mention, notice of the allegations. So that what the allegations are, and in order to get through this whole thing, we kind of have to step back and talk about what are the allegations, where did this all start, and what is it? And the reason we have to do that is because, as you've already seen in the chat, there are people who are, and again, this is the haters who are saying that Michigan did things that didn't actually happen. This is how it's gotten blown out of proportion. There are people who seem to think that Connor Stallions was on the sidelines of every game with a 4K camera and pointed at coaches, pointed at players, and getting detailed scenes of everything that happened, and then coming back and making this detailed report with every single play and practically the playbook of every team. And that's just simply not what happened. There are also people who don't seem to understand why Connor Stallions was on the sidelines of Michigan. That's because his job at Michigan was to watch the other team and try to ascertain what the plays were going to be. That's an actual job that pretty much every team has. You read the signs in game, you watch footage from other games. In fact, and we'll get into some of this. Maybe I'm jumping ahead too much here, but let's get into this. So in Angelique Chengelis's article, she has basically 3 points: that there's the sign stealing scheme, which is investigations into an illegal scouting sign stealing scheme. Keeping in mind, sign stealing itself is not illegal. What was the problem was the pre-scouting, sending somebody, and from what I understand, it has to be a staff member of Michigan at the game, taking video and bringing it back. If somebody who is associated with Michigan, actually, I don't know if let's say somebody just works at Michigan and they go to a game, is that a violation of the rules? I guess it could. It might as well be. Yeah,
that's something that Steve Dace. Whoa, I just got really close to the camera. Sorry, everybody. That's something that Steve Dace from Michigan Podcast was saying, that the question, the definition of a scout,
mm-hmm.
like sending scouts to future games, that's kind of subjective.
Okay.
So is a scout explicitly a member of the program in question? Like, do they have to be an employee of Michigan's program to be considered a scout if they are sent to a game to literally scout it? Or does the fact that they are not directly employed by the University of Michigan mean that they're not a scout, therefore it's legal? And legally speaking, this is where you get into these debates of the spirit of the law versus the letter of the law. Technically speaking, paying other people who are not directly employees of the university to go and scout games is a violation, or is not a violation of the letter of the law, but it's a violation of the spirit of the law. And that's what you have to figure out in court, is whether or not are we worried about the spirit of the law, or are we worried about the letter of the law, basically.
Right. Okay, so there are other accused individuals. So former head coach Jim Harbaugh, former linebackers coach Chris Partridge, Denard Robinson is even part of this whole mess. Also, there was somebody who said at one point in one of our comments that there aren't allegations or violations. They don't level violations against people. They level them against the school. That doesn't appear to be true. They level these allegations against individuals. And then the school suffers the punishment. In some cases, it's just a particular person that suffers this. Mm-hmm. Sharon Moore is facing a level 2 allegation. Harbaugh and others are accused of level 1 violations, including not cooperating with the NCAA and failing to provide phone and email records. That becomes a really interesting part of this when we get into this. The final notice of allegations has not come through yet, but it will reveal the penalties after the review process. And then we have so let's talk about the historical context here. Mention of previous investigations into impermissible recruiting during the COVID-19 recruiting dead period. And this is where we get back into, I believe this is also part of Hamburger Gate, and it was over, well, Cheeseburger Gate. And I apologize. I'm kind of jumping all over the place here, but so we should probably dig into a particular part.
Ooh, real quick, can we celebrate something?
Sure.
Blue Wolverine has been a member for 2 months. Thank you, Blue Wolverine. Everybody else, just for context, we have memberships. It's $1, and it's a way that you can support the channel if you were so inclined. Obviously, there are a couple of people in the chat that I think are probably not inclined. But yeah, we have memberships. If you are interested in joining that, we've got really big things coming up on the channel that we are really excited about. So feel free to do that if you want to support. Otherwise, the best way to support the channel is just like and subscribe. And yeah, anyway, we can get back to it.
I cannot find. I'm sorry. I want to put up Blue Wolverines notes here, and they're not coming up on. Oh, here we go. Thank you, Blue Wolverine, for the super chat. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Go Blue.
Go Blue.
Okay, so actually, let's look at a couple of questions here that are on the chats, because this is, I guess this is stuff we have to try to clear up to whatever extent we can. And okay, so Tara P here, and I just talked about this. You're going to pretend like Stallions. You're going to pretend like this was all Stallions and play the victim. Not playing the victim. We're not on the team. We're trying to sort all this out. Believe me, we're not happy about this. We don't like the fact that Michigan is under this kind of investigation. It's kind of disappointing in a way, but at the same time, we're wondering why it is that Michigan is under so much scrutiny. As I said earlier, why is it that there are other, and I'm not the one who came up with this. There are professionals out there who are saying, why is it that Michigan information keeps getting leaked, but it's not getting leaked for these other places? We're not finding out about it until the penalties come down. So we're not pretending that this was all just Stallions. Even the NCAA seems to believe that the whole impermissible scouting scheme was just Connor Stallions. That's what the NCAA has said. So if you have a problem with that, take it up with the NCAA.
But, well, can I respond to that one too?
Sure.
Well, can you put it back up so I can see it?
Oh, maybe.
Did you lose it?
Probably.
Go
back up here. It's way up at the top. She was early.
Oh, okay. That's okay if you don't have it. Actually,
let's start talking. I'll get there.
Well, okay. So,
Shoot.
Now I can't remember what it was. Okay, so you can just pretend this was all Stallions and play the victim. Okay, so you have a point. First off, yeah, we definitely don't want to be playing the victim. We're not trying to play the victim here because obviously we're not on the team. So if anything happens to Michigan, the worst thing that happens to us is our favorite team has something negative happen to them, and that sucks. But life goes on. It wasn't all the cheating part of it is multifaceted because two things can be true at once. Actually, a lot of things can be true at once. One, Connor Stallions cheated. He did something that was against the rules, and he should be punished for it. Two, the rule that he broke is one that the NCAA had already said did not actually provide a market advantage, a market competitive advantage, and they were actually going to repeal it back in 2019. But either way, they didn't repeal it. And so it was still a part of the rules, and Connor Stallions still broke it. Okay, he should be punished, for sure. It also kind of looks like Michigan knew about it. Now, what we don't know is when did Michigan know about it, which Michigan players or which Michigan coaches knew about it, and did I already say when? When they knew about it is the question, and then what they did about it when they knew about it. So obviously we found out Sharon Moore deleted texts. On its surface, that looks really bad. If we dig in a little deeper, we found out Sharon Moore deleted those texts, but then ended up recovering those texts from his deleted folder and provided them to the NCAA anyway. Mm-hmm. So if Michigan knew about all this and then didn't stop him because somehow or another they were getting a competitive advantage on the field, that would be coming out. That's not coming out just yet. And believe me, if that did happen, then yes, they should be punished. But that's not what's coming out. What's coming out so far is a bunch of allegations of non-compliance, which means the NCAA, if I were to put my personal opinion spin on it, the NCAA didn't find what they wanted to find, so they wanted to get Michigan for something, and so they put a non-compliance allegation on it. That's what I think is going on here. But to your point, Tara, no, I don't think it was all Stallions. I think Michigan knew about it. The question is, what did Michigan do when they found out about it? And obviously, Connor Stallions was suspended immediately with pay, but then he resigned before the Michigan State game. So Connor Stallions rather should get punished. And then depending on how much Michigan knew about it, how little or much they did to rectify it, they should get a punishment according to that. At the end of the day, it's probably not going to amount to much more than a fine and probably a probationary period. But either way, not enough was actually done for Michigan to have received that much of an advantage on the field. I mean, the NCAA president has already said that the Natty was fair and square. So, but I understand what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. And a follow-up comment from Tara here. Well, a low-level recruiting analyst who is illegally sign stealing in reality was giving instructions to the coordinators. Keegan, she's talking to Keegan. The Stallions, that Stallions was a lone wolf thing is ridiculous. But here's the thing. That's his job, is to find out the plays of the other team. So one way or another, he's going to find out those plays. Again, sign stealing is not against the rules. And being practical about this, and I know in another comment you called us an apologist, or somebody called us an apologist and said we were ridiculous. Okay, whatever, don't care. Because the reality of it is, as Mac has said multiple times now, there's the reason that the rule was going to be done away with is because it had no marked advantage. No competitive advantage. And the reason that is because if you go and scout a team, let's say the week before you're going to play them, first of all, you don't have enough time to get any of those plays. The number of plays you're going to get is minimal. Remember, James Franklin even said that once you factor in all the variations, there's about 700 plays you have to use. And you're only going to get 50 or 60 snaps a game. So you're not going to get, and out of that, how many of them are used in the next game? Plus, by the time you get to the next game, the all-22 footage is out. Coaches are sharing signs with each other. They do that. They have admitted they do that. So at what point is where is the advantage? There is none. And then you can ask the question, well, why did he do it? I don't know. That's the dumb part about it. That's why what we think what Stallions did was dumb. It got them in a whole lot of trouble for something that didn't really help. So that is what it is, and there's nothing we can do about it. You talked about the deleted texts.
Real quick, we got another super chat from Blue Wolverine for $19.99. Thank you, Blue Wolverine.
Thank you,
for
Blue
that
Wolverine.
one.
I'm trying to get to it to put it up here. There it is.
Single-handedly funding our channel. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you very much, Blue Wolverine.
Really
We appreciate that.
Really appreciate it. I hope this doesn't make you regret it. I'm not going to buy a PlayStation 5. I am an Xbox man myself. I always have been. I've actually always hated the PlayStation. Fun fact.
Well, the beautiful thing is that the cash goes either way.
The cash does go either way. Yeah, I'm sure Microsoft will accept it just as much as Sony would have. Yeah. I just hope, Blue Wolverine, that we can still be friends because we appreciate it.
I just wanted to put this one up. Keegan is our resident comedian. NCAA equals Beetlejuice. If you say NCAA 3 times, they appear in your house and ruin your night.
And slap you with a non-compliance allegation.
This one, I'm just going to go through a couple of these here. Now Michigan has gambling charges coming too. That was... If I remember correctly, this is one guy, and it has nothing to do with Michigan.
I haven't even heard about this. What is that?
I haven't heard much about it either. That's why I think it's one guy who happens to work for Michigan was gambling or something. Anyway, that's grasping for straws there. This one, vacating 3 seasons and all trophies, postseason ban for the last 2 seasons. Again, this is not us saying this. This is professionals saying this. That's probably not the case. That's probably not going to happen. We're going to get into that in a little bit. This is also one that is again something that has to be debunked. There's video of Stallions right next to the coordinators giving them instructions in every game. A recruiting analyst doesn't do this, obviously. Okay, a recruiting analyst doesn't, but a sign stealer does. And that's what his job was. He was the sign stealer. He was the sign interpreter. So you really got to think this through. Again, Connor Stallions broke the rules because there is evidence of him buying tickets and giving those tickets away and having people go to the games and ostensibly film them. Although, again, as we've said, the competitive advantage gain is almost negligible, and that's what the NCAA has said. So cry about that all you want. Let's get into okay, well, you had the text deletion, and what was the other one here? We've got the level 2 allegation against Moore. Oh, well, that was the texts.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about the not cooperating thing. You touched that in your monologue, but let's get into that some more. So when we're talking about not cooperating, how has that built up? How did that start?
The non-cooperating thing, or not cooperating thing. So I'm not entirely sure. I suppose I'm not entirely sure where it started, but I know it involved the NCAA asking for things like personal phone records, personal email records, personal bank accounts, and stuff like that. And I mean, any given person would say, no, I don't want you to have that. And the NCAA, legally speaking, can't even ask for that kind of stuff because they don't have subpoena power like the federal government does. And so from what it sounds like, people generally said, no, you can't have that. And then, frankly, with the whole Burgergate situation, it sounds like nobody really knew that they were providing impermissible benefits to recruits. And so they said, no, we didn't do that. But then the NCAA was like, no, you actually did, but you said you didn't. So that's a lie. So non-compliance. Again, the Sharon Moore thing with the deleted text, he deleted 50 some odd texts. He was able to immediately recover those texts from his deleted folder and provided them to the NCAA anyway. But the fact that he deleted them in the first place means non-compliance. Okay. The one thing that doesn't make sense is the Connor Stallions non-compliance one. Now, according to Isaiah Hole, they didn't actually talk to Connor Stallions until April of this year, of 2024. So just a few months ago. Okay. So I guess that's another question. If this is such a big deal, why didn't they talk to Connor Stallions sooner? And honestly, if the rumors about what Connor Stallions did are true, then it is a big deal. Like, it sounds like he was on the sidelines at Eastern Michigan.
Yeah.
As well as Central Michigan.
That just came out today, too.
That just came out today, is that he was on the sidelines at Eastern Michigan. He was on the sidelines at Central Michigan. Josh Pate said that he knows of people who have evidence that he was on the sideline of a lot of other games as well. Mm-hmm. But again, none of this directly comes back to Michigan as far as we know. Harbaugh has maintained his innocence. He actually just released a statement saying from Chargers practice saying that he has nothing to do with it. So I'm not on it right now. Sorry.
Oh, so I'm looking for your
Yeah, that's not it. I was looking at it. That's why I was pointing. Yep. But in any case, the non-compliance stuff comes from the NCAA. This is why I'm saying that it sounds like it's coming from the NCAA didn't get what they wanted. And so they're trying to find anything that they possibly can on Michigan at this point.
Yeah.
But the point I was making with Connor Stallions, they don't know whether or not, was he stonewalling during his NCAA interview? Was he being belligerent? Was he just not talking? Was he lying to them? We don't know. So we have no idea what we're going to do, or what they're going to do with Connor Stallions and that whole thing. But as far as the other non-compliance stuff goes, it sounds like it was, I don't know, miscommunication, I guess. Mm-hmm. I mean, They didn't mean to lie about the whole supplying recruits with impermissible benefits, which how in the world is a burger an impermissible benefit when you've got the SEC providing freaking Lambos and Corvettes and nonsense like that?
Right.
But again, it's NIL. Like what's considered NIL? I mean, we had Texas with the whole Lamborghini thing, which, dude, more power to them. I don't have a problem with it. Like, I think people are hating on Michigan fans because they're saying, like, if any other school were doing this, we would be hating on them. Ohio State's Tattoo Gate, don't care. Do not care.
Same thing with Kentucky.
Same thing with Kentucky.
Some players got some money.
Don't care.
NIL.
That should have just been NIL. The Texas Lamborghini stuff, that's NIL. Michigan buying burgers, that's NIL, but also that's maybe just being a nice human. Right. That one doesn't make any sense to me. But anyway.
And again, as we'll get into some more, I'm sure, is that all of these things, every time the NCAA investigates and has an allegation, it turns out to be nothing. They find nothing. And Sharon Moore's texts are a big example of that they said, oh, you deleted these texts. What are those? That's probably valuable information. They got the texts and then nothing happened.
Yeah.
But he's getting the notice of allegations against him. The violation is that he didn't give them the texts. So, okay, Sharon Moore didn't cooperate. I guess he broke that rule. Doesn't change the game.
It did. Yeah, it
doesn't change the outcome of anything. And like as we've been talking about, that's what's happened over and over again. Is these allegations come out, they have no impact on the game, so none of the games change. So even if the punishment comes down, it didn't change the game. The rival teams, every team Michigan beat, they still beat. They still won the Big Ten championship. They still won the national championship. None of that changes because none of this stuff impacts the game. But I would like to, so Brian Myers, if you're still out there, you put up two chats that I want to take a look at because I think they're contradictory. So you're saying Michigan is under scrutiny because they cheated, but then you're also saying Kentucky is not under scrutiny because no one cares about Kentucky. That seems contradictory to me because I think you're proving the point. Why do they care so much about Michigan but not Kentucky?
Yeah, if they both committed violations.
Yeah. So I want you to think about that a little bit and understand just because Kentucky isn't on the level of Michigan and Ohio State, why does that mean they should be allowed to get that nobody should care about it? Or why they're not under other scrutiny? Well, let's go down here. Oh, hey, Nevada Bucket Kurt Barton or Felons, who used to be our buddy Connor Stallions, is an American hero. Because the NCAA has nothing, it needs to come up with something. So they're reaching out to the other fan bases, which I think is part of what you were getting at. I mean, that seems absolutely true. It seems like the NCAA is fishing. That's why the stuff was leaked. And I think Brian Myers here said at one point that that Michigan leaked the information, not the NCAA. No, come on. Why?
So go to Brian Myers responded to you, and I like like what he said. I want to talk about that for a second.
All right, not a contradiction. Fans are giving Michigan scrutiny and not UK. The NCAA gave both scrutiny.
Okay, so the NCAA did give both schools scrutiny. You're right. So we were probably under the impression that you meant the NCAA. Or I'm not entirely sure how that worked, but whatever. Mm-hmm. Anyway, you're right. The NCAA gave both schools scrutiny. The problem is that Kentucky was not scrutinized in the court of public opinion like Michigan has been. Whenever Josh Pate has been saying this, Sam Webb has been saying this, I think Feinbaum said this. Other people have been saying, a lot of people have noticed at this point that no other NCAA investigation gets leaked in the way that Michigan's investigation has been leaked. So Michigan has been convicted in the court of public opinion several times over at this point, whereas what happened with Kentucky, Kentucky's not getting scrutinized in the court of public opinion because the leaks never came. Now, whether or not the NCAA did it on purpose or it's a lack of institutional control, because again, attribute to stupidity what can be attributed to malice, or don't attribute to malice what can be attributed to stupidity. That's what it is. let's pretend the NCAA is just stupid and somebody there is leaking information to ESPN. That sucks, but that there are so many, there are so many coincidences that are taking place that makes it feel a little bit more like malice in this situation. For instance, the Kentucky investigation, the Tennessee investigation, there was an investigation into Florida, there was an investigation into Texas A&M, I want to say. Those did not get leaked to ESPN or any of the news networks. Michigan, there seems to be a new leak about the hammer coming down and the sign stealing stuff. There's like a new leak every couple of weeks at this point. Actually, I shouldn't say that. There wasn't a leak for quite a while. But whatever. In any case, there are a lot of leaks coming out about just this Michigan investigation, which is kind of curious. Not only that, but they're all getting leaked to Pete Thamel. Kind of curious. They're all getting leaked to ESPN. Now, I personally am not as curious about this one, but it's still kind of curious that they're leaking it to ESPN. ESPN owns the SEC network. ESPN is very much making their money off of the SEC, not the Big Ten. So if Michigan gets a postseason ban, that's less money for Fox. Now, that's uber conspiratorial. I will grant you, that is incredibly conspiratorial. So I'm going to stop right there and just kind of let you guys play with that. That's something to be considered. But when you say that, yeah, the NCAA scrutinized both of them, you're right. The NCAA did. But the NCAA, or at least these leaks that are happening about the Michigan investigation, is causing Michigan to get scrutinized in the court of public opinion in a way that Kentucky, Tennessee, Florida have not.
So again, I'm looking through these chats, and okay, so let's get back to a couple more here. I'm gonna skip that one. Borg Warner, thank you very much. We don't make money off of the channel yet, but we get to 1,000 subs and we will. So thank you very much for that. Yes, please like and subscribe if you like this content, even if you want to argue with us. We don't mind. We're here for it.
Yes.
Before I get to Keegan's comment, I'm probably gonna go through a lot of the rival fan comments before I get to fan comments. So here we go. Appreciate you fans in the chat handling some of these too. First of all, Brian Myers says it's not a burger; it's the impermissible contact during the dead period. Right, but it was over a burger. There was one where it was Harbaugh was watching a guy work out, or not watching a guy work out. The guy wanted to show Harbaugh that he wasn't as injured as badly as had been reported. So he was showing Harbaugh that. So yes, it's against the rules, but again, it doesn't change the game. The cheeseburger incident, okay, against the rules, doesn't change the game. And that's what we're trying to get at here. You can complain about this all you want, but it doesn't change the game. It's when you violate rules that change the game that are the problem. So, and then, okay, so Brian Myers, next one here. Tickets, hotels, and transportations for 58 games is expensive. Yeah, it's up to 58 games now, or at least 58 tickets. And the IRS will want to know where the money came from. I think we all know it came from Slip and Jimmy. Okay, so first of all, tickets, hotels, and transportation for 58 games is expensive. Sure, doesn't mean he couldn't afford it. Doesn't mean he didn't save up his money for it. Lots of things are expensive to certain people, but other people buy them even though they don't have as much money because they save their money because that's what they want to do with their money. So that's a subjective statement. You can buy tickets in the cheap seats for these games, and it's not as expensive. And again, that gets to the point of where were these seats and what kind of pictures can you get from that location? And when you say we all know it came from Slip and Jimmy, no, we don't. You don't know that. You're making that up. Sorry, you are. And I'm not gonna pussyfoot around that. You're making that up. You don't know that Jim Harbaugh gave the guy money. You don't know that anybody gave him any money. So until that's proven, I'm gonna fight you on that one. Tara P, Michigan is a cash cow, so they probably won't get hammered too hard, but it was cheating. Acting like no advantage was gained by Stallions' scheme as he was giving instructions to coordinators is silly. I guess let's go through this again. Yes, Michigan is a cash cow. That's why the CFP will probably not ban Michigan from the playoffs. it was cheating. Yes, the impermissible scheme was cheating, but as the NCAA has said, it provided no competitive advantage. Again, your problem shouldn't be with Michigan. Your problem should be with the NCAA. Connor Stallions giving instructions to the coordinators. Yes, that was his job. Again, so Connor Stallions giving coordinators information was an advantage because Connor Stallions was good at sign stealing, which again can be done multiple ways, which are all legal. So let me throw in Keegan here. People taking a video with their phone at a game is illegal. Yeah, and that's what Mac was talking about. What's a scout? What that means anybody who goes to a football game, videos a play, and posts it on YouTube is breaking the NCAA rules? No. And yet those videos exist and they are available to anybody from any program. So again, you guys out there complain all you want. Keegan is right. Again, going back to Tara P., Stallions was so efficient at sign stealing that they trusted him to tell the coordinators what to do play by play. That isn't normal. Coupled with how he was getting the signs, it looks very bad. From what I understand, from what I've read from coaches from other teams, it's very normal. Very, very normal. In fact, there are people literally paid to sign steal and to give information to the coordinators. Again, your problem isn't with us. Your problem isn't with Michigan. It's with the NCAA. So, again, you say what coupled with how he was getting the signs, it looks very bad. Again, getting signs through videoing from stadium seats. Again, you're getting. I mean, I would really like to see it because I've taken video at games. Of course, we're up in section or row 80, but still, we've taken videos at games and they look lousy. I usually delete them after the game because they look so bad.
I guess that's so. Multiple things can be true at once here. Again, like Stallions was extremely efficient at sign stealing. You're right. And that's why he was probably brought on at Central Michigan to help out with that. Also, he had a relationship, or he had a relationship. He was friends with the quarterback coach at Central Michigan, who was actually just fired. And it sounds like it has something to do with the Connor Stallions investigation. So something might come out about that. We'll be interested to see what's going on with that. That being said, the advanced scouting, in terms of the advantage that provided, the NCAA already said that it didn't provide that much of an advantage. So Connor Stallions, even if what he did was against the rules, still didn't affect the game itself, despite the fact that he was really good at what he did. Again, stealing signs is not illegal. How he advanced scouted is, even though it doesn't provide that much of an advantage. Actually, it doesn't provide any sort of an advantage for, according to the NCAA. That's why they were going to repeal the rule. So multiple things can be true at once here.
Did you talk about this one already? Can you explain this one? Clink got notched for donating $100.
Coach Clinksdale, is it? I think it was Clinkscale.
Yeah. Keegan makes a great point here, by the way.
Yeah. Clink donated $100 to a recruit's dad's charity. That's all it was, is he donated $100 to a charity that was run by the father of a recruit. And they called that an impermissible benefit to a recruit, actually. That's what they called.
All right. Again, Borg Warner, thank you very much. Oh, yeah. Okay. So this is what we were talking about earlier. I find it funny Kentucky was investigated and punished, and no one even knew they were being investigated. However, ESPN magically obtains leaks on multiple occasions about Michigan. Yeah.
That's what's so confusing about this. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm kind of taking this one blind. How has the AD kept his job with all the issues, not only in the football program, but also the issue in the basketball program? The issue in the basketball program was,
it was just,
I forgot his name now.
Juwan Howard
Juwan
was just
Howard.
not doing a very good job. Yeah.
Well, and he had anger issues. It sounds like he might have been abusive with the players, but again, yeah, I mean, it's a good point. How has the AD still kept his job? In fact, why is Ward Manuel now on the CFP selection committee if Michigan is a bunch of cheaters? That's something you got to think about for a second.
Yeah.
Why did so many of Michigan's players get pulled into the NFL if they're not really all that good? If they had to cheat to win, apparently the NFL doesn't think that.
Okay, I got something for you. There was a chat. Yep, here it was. Oh.
Okay. Oh man, you guys might not have just heard me what I was talking about, but you read the tweet.
Well,
the chat.
We should explain what just happened.
So what just happened is Mac's Windows closed out, and we're using a microphone that's attached to his laptop. So
yeah,
you might not have heard any of that.
Sorry, everybody. My bad.
At any rate, this chat is correct that so many channels are benefiting off of this scandal, and we're actually one of them, as Mac talked about earlier, and we're hoping we're not caught up in losing people after that. So we'd like to talk about other stuff too. Let's get to the response. Now, what's interesting is that I believe it was this morning on ESPN. You had Pete Thamel and Paul Feinbaum talking about this. So remember the notice of allegations came out, and it looked at first really bad for Michigan because it looked like they were going to get some severe punishment. Jason, yeah, we lost audio.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, Jason. Hopefully it's back now. You guys in the chat, let us know.
Yeah, and Connor Stallions said it's back.
We're good. Okay, sorry about that. Again, it's a new setup, and we're dealing with that. Okay, so back to ESPN. So Paul Feinbaum and Pete Thamel were talking about this on ESPN, and basically said it amounts to nothing. That there likely won't be any punishment outside of a fine.
Yeah.
Thamel said that the allegations are largely focused on Connor Stallions and Sharon Moore from deleting texts. Thamel suggested that Moore could face a short suspension, which will be interesting. So it could be the same thing we had last year, where Harbaugh was suspended for a couple of games, for 6 games. So Moore might be suspended for a couple of games this time. But Thamel believes that there is no risk to player eligibility. Feinbaum, who remember was a Michigan hater for quite a while, for Harbaugh's entire tenure, he believes the investigation amounts to little more than nothing, and he suggested the case may not go far and that Michigan could win any court battle against them. So here we are. This isn't us. This isn't the Big Ten. These are guys on ESPN, Pete Thamel and Paul Feinbaum, saying, it looks like nothing. And what do we get from that? What are you seeing?
I think that's all it is. Again, this stuff is so odd at this point.
Yeah.
If Pete Thamel and Paul Feinbaum are both saying, because Paul Feinbaum straight up said that he wasn't going to recognize Michigan as national champions last year. I mean, he said at one point that the national championship would be tainted. And then the NCAA president came out and said Michigan won the Natty fair and square. And then Paul Feinbaum said that he's never been more wrong in his life about anything. And now they're both saying that looking at the notice of allegations or the draft of the notice of allegations that ESPN got, it doesn't look like anything's going to amount to this. Why? Because majority of it are level 2 violations against people that are currently at the university, and then level 1 violations against people who aren't. It does mention a show cause, a potential show cause against Sharon Moore.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows if that's actually going to amount to anything? I'm not entirely sure what a show cause is, but I know.
I learned a little bit on that. I asked on, who was the guy? Shanky? No. What?
Swanky?
No.
Swanky Wolverine?
No. Oh, no, I can't remember his name. Okay, I asked on Twitter what a show cause is, and what it sounds like ultimately is that if you get a show cause, which means if one of these guys were to leave Michigan, the team that hires them has to show cause as to why it's okay that they're hiring him.
Oh, okay.
So because if you're being fired or let go from one position, in this case, because it might involve allegations from the NCAA, you have to prove, as the new boss, you have to prove to the NCAA that you're either hiring this person for a different reason, or you're showing what you're going to do to make sure whatever they violated at the other team doesn't happen again. Show cause.
Okay, show cause. Got it.
That's
All
my
right.
understanding. I could be wrong on that, but that's what I've gathered from what I learned on Twitter from people who know.
That's interesting. Okay. But okay, so we're talking about the guy who's currently Josh Henschke.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Keegan.
We're talking about Sharon Moore, though. He's currently the coach of the University of Michigan, one of the best football programs in the history of college football. So
National champions.
Oh,
it's backwards. Oh,
it's backwards? Oh, mine's backwards too. Dang it. Oh, hey, now we're in the same camera. Hi. So we're talking about a guy who probably doesn't need another job unless he goes to the NFL.
Yeah.
So a show cause at that point is just kind of stupid.
Right. Yeah. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I meant to show this one. Brian, I'll get back to you in a second here. Simple show cause answer. NCAA reasons are irrelevant. Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
But Brian Myers says, shoot, I keep hitting the wrong one. Soon to be vacated. And if Paul Feinbaum is right, no, they're not. If Pete Thamel is right, no, they're not. And I know somebody on here said that, now you guys used to hate Thamel, now you like him. I don't like him. What I'm saying is that if even Pete Thamel thinks it was nothing, it was nothing.
I guess, okay.
And because if anybody wants it to be something, it's Pete Thamel.
Well, maybe. I don't know. I'll push back on even that.
All right.
I have no idea. I know that Pete Thamel is an Ohio State alumni, I want to say, but even that I don't think is relevant to this whole thing. Pete Thamel, for whatever reason, was the one who kept getting the leaks.
Right.
He was the one who kept releasing all this stuff, and yeah, he released it, but then it all seemed to be really like nothing ever ended up coming from it. Like it was one of those situations where they kept saying, "Oh, the hammer's coming, the hammer's coming." Pete Thamel kept reporting, "The hammer is coming," and then it just never came. Mm-hmm. And the notice of allegations never came. And now we're only getting drafts of notice of allegations. And so it's just we're at a point now where it's like, what are we supposed to expect? And Pete Thamel, I have no opinion on the guy. I think he's a pretty solid reporter, but at one point he was just reporting a whole bunch of stuff that never ended up coming true. And so, and that's not his fault necessarily. It's just he's the one that reported it. Mm-hmm. So all we can really do is just sit here and be like, what the hell is going on, guys?
Whoa.
I'm just saying.
Matt is getting mad.
Nobody knows what's going on. Pete Thamel was saying all throughout like the off season or the spring football. Oh, the hammer's coming. And it's not his fault. He's just the reporter. That's fine. But he was getting all the leaks. Who's doing the leaking? Why is the leaking only about Michigan? Why is Connor Stallions on the sideline at Central Michigan? Why is Connor Stallions on the sideline at Eastern Michigan? Why is Josh Pate saying that he has a bunch of people saying that they have evidence of Connor Stallions on the sidelines at other schools? Is it because he had some sort of vast network of sign stealing? Is it because he just has relationships with all these people at all these different schools, and so he was able to do that kind of a thing because of his connections? Nobody knows anything, guys.
And on that note, we don't want to beat a dead horse here because there's going to be more information coming out certainly shortly. I know the NCAA, I think Brian Myers here says that the NCAA works at a glacial pace. Yeah, that's true. But, if the leaks keep coming, we'll have stuff to talk about. But we're gonna hold that one there. I'm sure John and TJ on Michigan football at the Voice of College Football are going to be talking about this more tomorrow night. We've actually got a video coming out tomorrow morning on the Michigan football Voice of College Football channel about Paul Feinbaum, of all people. That was fortuitous.
Yeah.
Next week. Okay, here's the big deal for next week. Next week.
Can I say one last thing?
Sure.
I'm sorry. I got to get this out real quick. Because, all right. Life is not black and white. All right. We live in a world where you can have a million different things all be true at once. We live in a world that is extraordinarily gray. Okay. So the people in the chat that are saying, at one point we hated Paul Feinbaum, now we like him. No, I still kind of hate him. And I shouldn't say hate. That's not very Christian of me. But I really don't like him because he's a clique guy. And I talked about this on the show a couple weeks ago, on our Voice of College Football. I put this in a Voice of College Football video we did, that sports media is really about the clicks. It's very clickbaity, okay? And that's kind of journalism as a whole right now, especially politically speaking. Mm-hmm. We are not a black and white show. I've made it clear I don't like Paul Feinbaum, and the reason isn't just because he doesn't like Michigan, although that really doesn't help, given my fandom. The reason I don't like Paul Feinbaum is because he says whatever gets a reaction. And that's honestly why I don't like ESPN as a whole. I can probably count on one hand the amount of sports pundits that I like. Josh Pate, although I understand people have some issues with him because he tends to be an SEC homer. I don't care. Dude's a Georgia fan. He can be an SEC homer. Also, sports isn't my identity. So life goes on. If he wants to be a Georgia homer, by all means, be a Georgia homer. We're both clearly Michigan homers. That being said, I don't just change my opinion about whether or not I like someone just because they happen to agree with me. I either like them or I don't, or I'm indifferent about it. Paul Feinbaum I don't like because he says a lot of clickbaity things. ESPN I don't like because they do a lot of clickbaity things. There are probably a lot of sports pundits that I do like that also do clickbaity things that I probably wouldn't like if I knew about it. So you can't say these stupid things like, oh, all of a sudden we like Pete Thamel when before we didn't. I have no opinion on Pete Thamel, guys. I could not care less. Actually, I shouldn't say that because that'd be rude too. Pete Thamel's probably a nice guy. As far as his career goes, don't care. We're just a couple of guys talking about football, trying to make sense of all this nonsense. And that's it.
We're going to hit two more chats. Tara P. Again, she says, hypothetical. Say a company employs individuals that were proven to be involved in insider trading within operations. Do you think that company isn't held accountable if the individuals quit? Yes, they are. But that's not really what happened. So, Brian Myers, the NCAA took the unprecedented step of warning the Big Ten midseason about the scandal. That alone should tell you the scale of the scandal. No.
That wasn't done because of the scale of the scandal. That was done because the NCAA said that they actually wanted to get ahead of the narrative that was about to come out. If I remember correctly, the NCAA actually wanted to try and dispel the rumors that Michigan's season should be in any way tainted before all of the narrative started coming out about it.
And then Brian said here, no one said you liked him. I said you're clinging to his opinion after railing on his opinions for so long. No, we're using that as a reference. So if somebody like Pete Thamel and Paul Feinbaum were saying that Michigan was guilty, but now they're saying there's no punishment, that should tell you that the guys who really want Michigan to be punished don't think Michigan's going to get punished.
Or if they, I don't even know that they really want Michigan to be punished. I think that they probably just want whatever makes their career go better for them. And right now, that's not Michigan. That's what's going right now. The clickbaity thing isn't Michigan because everybody's reading this notice of allegations and saying there's nothing here. Yeah. And so there's nothing to talk about other than other than trying to get a bunch of people to understand that Connor Stallions did something stupid. Michigan probably knew about it a little bit, but at the end of the day, did Michigan win a national championship because they had Connor Stallions as signs? No. Friendly reminder, Connor Stallions was gone before the Michigan State game. These allegations started coming out the week of the Michigan State game. And yeah, you're right. The Big Ten warned Big Ten schools that Michigan was doing this. That's why Michigan State boycotted the game. But Michigan then went ahead and beat Penn State, Ohio State, Alabama, and then Washington, all without Connor Stallions.
Jason Bode, thank you very much for the super chat. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jason. Appreciate you. Jason and Blue Wolverine have been here for quite some time. They've been watching the show for a while. We really appreciate you guys.
Yeah. Ferris Khan, what did you miss? Nothing much. Nothing's happened, really.
Yeah, not a lot.
Shout out to Ferris. Ferris does the show Smash the Numbers on Michigan football at the Voice of College Football. Another show you should be watching. Head on over there and like and subscribe. I think that's going to do it for us tonight. What I want to say is next week, we do have a guest next week. Things are going to be more back to normal next week.
Yes.
Garrison and Bryce of the Scarlet and Blue Show will be on our show talking football. Looking forward to talking to them. If you haven't seen their channel, check them out. They do an episode a week. And they're a couple of friends that one is an Ohio State fan, one is a Michigan fan, and they have a good time going at each other. They've been doing that apparently since they were in 8th grade, I think is what Garrison told me.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So thanks for hanging out with us. Don't forget to check out the teamrivalry.com website where you can now sign up and be part of the Pigskin Showdown, which is the next announcement. August 26th is going to be the first episode of the Pigskin Showdown, which is going to be at this time, 8 o'clock on Monday nights. The Pigskin Showdown is going to be me and Mac with 4 to 5 other guests, and we're going to do this roundtable thing, picking the scores for the weekend coming up games. If you've ever seen Friday Night Tights that Nerdrotic does, we're going to try to do a format similar to that. We're going to have a lot of fun doing some analysis, some trash talk, and throwing scores out there. Got a lot of people lined up, some familiar faces, maybe some you haven't seen before. It's going to be fun. Let's see. We also have our show on the Michigan Football at the Voice of College Football channel called Point a Minute. Again, that comes out tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., and we're going to be talking about Paul Feinbaum. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you very much for joining us. Go Blue says, go Blue, funnily enough. It's down here somewhere. Oh, Keegan.
Yeah.
Let me throw this up there real quick.
Oh, hey.
Keegan, thank you very much for the super chat. We appreciate you being here. You've been here for a long time, too, and you're a funny guy, and we love having you around. You got some great stuff.
Did you see Buckeyes Battle Cry said they were excited to be joining us? I don't know if you mentioned Buckeyes Battle Cry. Buckeyes Battle Cry, they're an awesome channel talking all things Buckeye football. Really great guys. Yeah. We're excited to be having them on the channel, too. If you guys, if you're an Ohio State fan, which looks like a couple of you are, They're really great guys, really fun to talk to, really intelligent dudes. Have a great channel there, so go check them out as well.
And we also got another super chat from Blue Wolverine. Again, thank you very much. That's there's the right one. It looked different when I pressed at it there. That I think is going to do it for us tonight. Mac, anything you want to add to that?
Fail to the cheaters, repugnant. Thanks for joining, Brian, and I seriously mean that. We really appreciate you being in the chat.
Yeah, we appreciate you being out there. Yeah. Go Blue, everybody! Enjoy your evening. Again, I'm on vacation, so I'm gonna do vacation stuff tomorrow,
and I'm back to work.
And that's gonna do it for us. Mac, take us out.
This is, what are we? The Big Ten Team Rivalry Show. I thought we were doing Voice of College Football for a second. This is the Big Ten Team Rivalry Show. Good night, everybody.
It's been a crazy week.